This journey is first from a place of sacrifice. It's from a place of a willingness to bail the cat, as it were. I understand that for certain things to happen, someone has to move away from a comfort zone, engage the unusual, tap into available resources, and actually make the best out of it. And before now, most of us really didn't know that other communities are willing to work with us because they really didn't know. So once we showed them that beautiful side of us, they jumped on board. And for the last 5 years, it's been a beautiful journey of self-awareness, recreating and re-imaging our status in Canada. And I tell you, it's been a beautiful experience. It is important to wake up in the morning and motivate yourself. Tell yourself you can make it. You're good enough. You're smart. You have everything it takes. Just build enthusiasm in yourself because nobody else will do it. So you mustn't do something only with your kind. The world is not made up of only your kind. A man of God once said that if we are not on the table where decisions are made, we will be in the yard where consequences are received.
Join us on BCC TV for a new series titled Community Circle. It's diversity, resilience, and the spirit of community.
Who has inspired you and why their story is important.
Perseverance is supposed to be sitting in the bus and have a white person.
I think that you should say that because I'm thinking of Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Welcome to Community Circle. Hello viewers, how are you all doing? My name is Uche Okogu and I'm thrilled to welcome you one more time to the Community Circle. Today is a beautiful day and I have a unique guest with me in the studio. Someone I believe most of you know. Young, handsome gentleman. I don't know, but I know he looks young, but I don't know his age, but he has the wisdom of elders. So maybe he will tell us if he doesn't mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Mr. Uche with me here, Okogu, right here in the studio. And who is Uche? Uche is a social entrepreneur, founder and president of the now 5-year-old network of Nigerians in Canada, NNC, a non-profit organization dedicated to championing diversity and inclusion by building a community that recognizes and takes advantage of the multiculturalism of Canada through activities and programs that enhances human capacity for economic and leadership development. He is also a member of the Brampton's Mayor Black Advisory Council, a past president of the City of Brampton Toastmasters Club, and a past president of the Rotary Club of Brampton. In 2026, he will lead Rotary District 7080 as its district governor, comprising 45 Rotary clubs and about 1,500 members across the GTA. He recently joined the board of William Oxley Health System Foundation as a director to contribute to the efforts at building Brampton's second hospital and a cancer dialysis center for Brampton Civic Hospital. That's amazing. Uche works in the Economic Development Office of the City of Brampton as the lead on the pioneering investment attraction decks from African and the Caribbean, which is a recipient of multiple recognitions from not-to-profit, public and private sector organizations, including the City of Brampton, Toronto Police Service, and Rotary International. He is a proud member of the Anglican Church of Annunciation, Akwan, where he serves as an evangelist. So, ladies and gentlemen, you will be ready to receive some message from the Lord today. So, he is married to Peace, a.k.a. Mother of Nations, and they have a son. Great. I have you, Mr. Uche. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's nice having you in the Black Community Canada Television today. Live and direct.
Here, exactly.
My goodness. Always looking handsome, and spot on. Wow, how are you?
So much. I'm good.
Interesting.
So
this your brief profile is it's not brief, man. You didn't breathe at all. Wow, interesting. So much that Mr. Uche has been and is doing, you know, for the community and for especially for the black community. And I think we are proud of him. You know, celebrating Black History Month and Black Excellence for us is a time of joy to have this great, you know, blacks that are making great impact in our community, you know. And just beyond the histories, there are a lot of things that are going on presently and things that will shape in the future. So it's of immense interest to us, and we are glad. So today I'll be discussing with Uche, looking at black participation. Black participation. So first and foremost, tell me, you know, a little about this journey, how, you know, you've been with the NNC and quite a lot that you've been able to get done in the community. How has it been for you? I believe it's been a beautiful time and also maybe a challenging one too.
Thank you so much. And first of all, thanks for inviting me to the studio, to this beautiful pioneering program as well.
You're welcome.
First of all, also, Black History Month. Happy Black History Month to everyone.
Thank you.
This journey is first from a place of sacrifice. It's from a place of a willingness to bail the cat, as it were. I understand that for certain things to happen, someone has to move away from a comfort zone, engage the unusual, tap into available resources and actually make the best out of it.
Interesting.
And above all, ensure that you can sell your idea to people that will listen, believe you, key into it and support you. Because like Martin Luther King said, no man is an island.
That's right.
I believe strongly that no matter how brilliant you are, you can't do it alone. You need at least one person, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so when we started this whole community support journey, it was necessary to first call people together to sell the idea. And once I got the team together, it was easy to hit the ground running. We started off in 2018, just a group of friends that got together. Let's just help ourselves and help people after us. We had a session around real estate. We called in a broker of records, Samuel Anyao, and he really exposed us to real estate differently.
Wow.
That led me to founding Real Estate 101, which was a platform used to bring in realtors to talk about how to buy houses, how to engage your landlord if you want to rent a home. And that platform pivoted into a group of people actually forming a conglomerate. I was part of that as well, where, you know, people buy houses, flip houses, sell, make profit, share. It was a beautiful session. People learned a lot from that. And then we pivoted into a name then, Nigerians in the GTA, where we basically used that platform to create awareness. Once awareness came and there was multiple engagement, we decided to hold a strategy session, and then we changed our names to Network of Nigerians in Canada. And since then, we've been engaging in activities that have contributed to change the narrative, that have engaged other communities. And before now, you know, most of us really didn't know that other communities are willing to work with us because they really didn't know. So once we showed them that beautiful side of us, they jumped on board. And for the last 5 years, it's been a beautiful journey of self-awareness, recreating and re-imaging our status in Canada. And I tell you, it's been a beautiful experience. And yes, there's been challenges from within, challenges from without, but it's been beautiful.
You know, if I'm not mistaken, you became the first black Rotary Club president in the Brampton chapter.
Yes.
So where we have a lot of, you know, white folks. So tell me, how did that come about, and how are you cherishing that?
Oh, so I joined Rotary back in Nigeria in 2006, and I've had a robust Rotary journey. So once I came into Canada, I looked for, you know, the nearest club, which is, in my case, the Rotary Club of Brampton. And I decided to join them because I wanted to extend my membership, of course. And once I got to the club, the first thing that hit me was that, as at that time, there were only 2 members of black origin in the club. And I said, no way. Brampton is diverse. I mean, as at that time, Brampton was already very diverse. I said, no, this has got to change. So I joined the club officially, and I took it upon myself that I'm going to introduce diversity to the club. So I mandated myself that I will, you know, recruit at least the black community into the club. And I set out to do that. And there were black community members I recruited. The club was, of course, willing to, you know, they were open to that level of change because they also knew that Brampton was a diverse city. They just were not engaging the community like that.
Wow.
So I engaged with my messages, got people interested. People joined not only my club, but even other Rotary clubs in and around Brampton, the GTA and beyond. And so Fast forward to 2022, when I became president, there were quite a number of, black members in the club. And when I became president, I was the first president of Black Origin as well in the club. And it's been a beautiful experience. First, there was a willingness to support me from the club. Secondly, the black community brought vibrancy, diversity, and a whole different perspective to the club. It even influenced the way we celebrated Black History Month. It influenced the way we celebrated certain activities because there was that introduction of a different perspective, which altogether made it a beautiful experience.
Wow.
And so yes, it was beautiful, and I'm kind of proud that I was able to achieve the one thing I set out to achieve at my pioneering stage of membership in the club.
What were your major successes during your period as the president?
So one of the things I did was first to celebrate my inauguration differently. We never really had an inauguration celebrated. It was just a simple changeover. On a regular meeting day, the outgoing president would just hand over to the incoming president, he becomes president, and a new Rotary year have started. I said, no. Rotary International is a very big organization. People need to know Rotary. And most times you need a social angle that will bring more people together to introduce something to them. So I celebrated my inauguration. It was a big event. It was held in Voden Street Rec Center, Century Gardens. Okay. And then we invited, people of diverse communities. There was flamboyancy from my community. There was diverse people, food, drinks, the fashion, the people, the music. And then, of course, Rotary was introduced. Even Rotary leaders were invited all the way from Rotary International in Chicago. Wow. And so we used that opportunity to launch Rotary into the community. And once I became president, of course, I focused on community economic development, which means we wanted to throw more light on how Rotary supports the community, whether it be small businesses, engaging with the Brampton Board of Trade, the Economic Development Office in the Brampton City, and also to generally bring in the who is who in the community to speak. Captains of industries, consul generals, ambassadors, representatives of the community. Was beautiful. We brought in the American ambassador to Canada to speak. We brought in the French ambassador to speak. We brought in different consul generals. At the tail end of my tenure, which was like the icing on the cake, we actually had the Premier of Ontario, Premier Doug Ford, come to speak in my club as well, as part of our 84th anniversary as a Rotary Club. And the membership grew. The membership remained diverse. There were programs, there were engagements. And I think the club also enjoyed a progressive access to media exposure as well.
Interesting. Because this is the first time I'm having you in the studio, so I'm tempted to ask you a few questions. And now, you coming from Africa, and you've achieved a lot. You've made yourself a voice, and there is so much enthusiasm around you, and I believe you are somebody who is passionate, who is visionary, somebody who is dogged. That's possibly my interpretation of meeting you for the checking out how from when I met you till now. I could have this maybe as my description of who you are. And tell me what is about Uche, because you seem to be someone who have a drive. Where are you driving to? What drives you?
I like that question. Frankly, I have never been asked that question before.
Oh, really?
Where are you driving to? I like the question. Thank you so much. I'll start by saying this. Self-motivation is very important. It is important to wake up in the morning and motivate yourself. Tell yourself you can make it. You're good enough. You're smart. You have everything it takes. Just build enthusiasm in yourself, because nobody else will do it. And one thing that has as an effect is that it will rub off on people. People will see you, and because of your enthusiasm for any cause, they will jump into it as well. I've had people tell me, oh, I love Rotary, I want to join because you are there. Or I love what you're doing, I want to join because you are talking about it, because you're excited about it. But it doesn't come without challenges. So I migrated to Canada when I was 40 years old in 2018. So I can tell you my age now. Imagine coming from a country with over 200 million people, all black. Imagine coming never knowing that there is anything about being black, because it was never an issue. And then you come to a community where there is a sudden consciousness that because you're black, it's not exactly the same. You have to know that there's a difference. You have to know what's happening around here.
Yeah.
And with that consciousness, I still told myself, I will do it. I can make it. Whatever I put my hands into will succeed. In fact, every day I tell myself, life has no choice but to be better. Like, there's nothing else that can happen except moving forward, everything happening well. And so despite that challenge, I moved on. I rose above the challenge. Self-motivation, carrying people along, just having a team, a small team that supports you, that believes in you, that would are willing to go that drive with you. And yes, where am I driving to? I grew up with a father that taught me the importance of giving back. He will always tell me things like, listen, a good name is more important than all the money in the world. I grew up seeing my mother host people in my home. Extended families will always stop by or pass by or come for holidays, would host them. We never had a very comfortable home that was large, but it was always large enough to accommodate people because my parents had a large heart, and that rubbed off on us. So I knew the spirit of giving back, helping people, being there for people. And so once I landed in Canada, of course, I knew the importance of giving back. I always told myself, yeah, you might have challenges, you might not be the best or anything, but there are a lot of people you're better than. There are so many people you could help, you could be there for. And so I just moved to do just that. And it pretty much helped out. Once I landed, had my challenges, learned from them, I said, okay, let's do something that will help people coming behind, just to have it easy. And then see what's birthed. Even through Rotary, I also try to support the community as much as I can, okay? We give to food banks. We support the youth. There are programs we've initiated today that were a brainchild of just a few years ago. Because we, together, I use the word we now because it's NNC, it's the Rotary Club, it's the charity side of me. So we used resources we have to pay it forward, helping people, helping the community. That gave us leverage to rise above the challenge. And like I said, because there was self-motivation, people will see that and just key into it. And so far, the journey has been a mix, but it's just been beautiful.
Now, if you don't mind, would you share with us possibly the major challenge you faced in the whole of this process till where we are presently? You know, I believe, you know, behind the story or the glory, there is a story. And that story maybe is what someone just needs to hear. You know, I see, Uche, man, is this, that. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, really? So is there any striking challenge that you would love to share with our viewers? Maybe just for 1 minute before we dive into some of the things we need to talk about.
So I would actually use my community. Implosion. So there was the issue of an implosion. Now, what I mean is, when you begin to do things, good things I must add, there is a tendency that our community will think there is an ulterior motive. There's something else he's not telling us. There's something else behind this. Okay? Why is he doing this? Why is it him? Why is it now? Why is it this way? We tend to spend too much time asking the why. We tend to spend too much time overanalyzing things. You know, our community is known to be very educated, very smart. But for sometimes we suffer analysis paralysis. we just table issues that shouldn't be. We're asking too many questions, we're assuming too many things, we're worried over. I call it, we major in our minor. Somebody is obviously doing something good. He's carrying people along, it's obvious. But people will rather spend time thinking about what he's not doing or what they think will end up doing. That is not what it looks like he's doing. That's overanalysis. What is he doing? It's obvious. Where is he going? It's obvious. Support. So for the most part, where we need support, we will tend to want to create a division. That has caused implosion for the most part. So you find that because of that, internally things have slowed down, some things have not happened, some things have happened differently, just because people that would have been on the same boat with you would think that, okay, this is your thing, you can do it yourself. Or this is your thing, I don't think I want to be part of it. Or I can do my thing after all. And sometimes all you need to do is just key into an existing thing. I have had wonderful ideas that I knew I could carry out on my own or through NNC. But I chose to collaborate with the community. There are a couple of endeavors that is being done with the larger community. Because there's a beauty in collaboration. There's beauty in doing one thing together, not starting your own thing or doing your own thing. Yes, it may be your idea or not, but as long as there's an idea that is feasible on the table, key into it, whether it's yours or not. And so that's one challenge, and I tell you, it's a very big challenge in our community, and it is still a challenge. Some of us are on the table talking about it, trying to find a way around it. And one of the mechanisms we're using is to get it done for others to see us get it done. And then hopefully things will change from there.
Okay, possibly in line as we move ahead in little things we need to talk about, maybe one or two things in that regard. But now, to you, first and foremost, what does Black History Month mean to you?
Officially,
do you appreciate that name? Do you appreciate 1 month dedicated to the blacks in Canada as a Black History Month? Holistically as well, what does Black History Month really mean to you?
so if you look back to the history, as at that time it was imperative to have that recognition. And we continue to give kudos to the people that fought for it. I mean, right now, names like Dr. Rosemary Sadler, Honorable Jean Augustine comes to mind. They were pioneers, they were frontliners in this regard. And it was very important to get this done. But over time, the message have changed. While you have 1 month dedicated to Black History Month, and the expectation is a lot of activities need to happen in that 1 month to create awareness, to support initiatives, to move forward. Now we know that Black excellence is celebrated every day of every month of every year. It's just like having, for the Christians, okay, for us Christians, Christmas is just 1 day. But we know that Christmas celebrates Christ. And of course, as Christians, we celebrate him every day, right?
That's right.
Yeah, but there's just that 1 day dedicated. So having a month dedicated is okay. But it is how we move forward that is important. So for me, while on the one hand, Black History Month is that recognition that was well deserved, on the other hand, Black History Month must metamorphose into Black history continuity, so to speak. There must be something we're doing every day to show that we have arrived, we are there. No need to paint us as being different. My dream is that 1 day, and this is what Martin Luther King said a long time ago, I just rephrase, 1 day everybody will just be in this world as human beings. Not black, not white, not brown, not colored, not segregated, just human beings. And everybody would work together. Because everybody, as you can see now, everybody has potential. Why water down my potential because you think that there's a certain color attached to me? And then the way you see Black History Month for some people, they think, okay, just another chance for us to remember that, okay, these people should be treated differently. No.
Because looking through the months, there are lots and pockets of events. Some are hosted to have pictures with you. So, from different levels of positions, by that I believe you understand what I'm trying to say, and you find a lot of activities that go around this. What do you think about all this? Some is different. Could you also be politicians in different levels, having pockets of events surrounding the Black History Month and all that? So, what are the essence? What are the gains from such events? Is it just to take pictures? Is it just to make up the books that this was done? What really is achieved from those events, from your experience? I know you're part of a good number of these events that happen within the communities and the cities and all that.
Yes.
So, tell us.
So, there is first a place of organizations having a strategy. I know some organizations that hold their Black History Month event outside the month of February. Some even hold as far down as April, May. They still label it Black History Month event, right? It's part of their strategy to extend the celebration. Part of the strategy of some organizations also is to leverage relationships. Let's say you hold an event and you have mayor, the councillor, an MP, an MPP, a captain of an industry show up. People leverage that relationship for publicity on the one hand, to access something tomorrow on the other hand, or to build upon a relationship. Like, you know, when you hold an event and involve these people, it's building a relationship. Because there will be communication prior. There will be that activity in the event. And of course, for a strategic organization, there will be communication after the event. That builds a relationship. So imagine tomorrow in my profile, if I am now building a new relationship and I'm saying, I have a relationship with this person. It adds to my profile. It actually makes me credible. And so we can achieve more leveraging that relationship. And of course, when you come to an event and you see a lot of pictures, video, building social media content now is very important. It's one way to leverage relationships. I have made a lot of relationships on social media, especially through LinkedIn, by what I share on LinkedIn. People see, people like it, people engage, and they reach out. Oh, I saw this, I saw you on this person, I saw you in this event, and today I have wonderful relationships. It's a strategy that has a greater plan ahead. So, for the most part, organizations don't just do this for the sake of pictures. Just take a picture and it's all done and dusted. No, there's a plan. Because it is important to have these relationships, sustain or service these relationships, and leverage the relationships.
Now, okay, you're actually bringing out a few things that, I possibly am looking at. These are some of the reasons. But looking at the black community, for example, I'm having, I should be attending an event that is organized by a different race entirely. Do you understand? It's an organization, not a political figure as in hosting this now, that is organizing such an event, and in line with the black history. Do you understand? For example, we have NNC now having a time and say, okay, we are hosting Australian months. Do you understand me?
Yes.
And so you host an event and invite one figure that from that, to be part of that and that. So I don't know. So I know you are well knowledgeable in some of this. So what gain, apart from, are the organizers trying to get just what you have said for themselves as leveraging in this? Now, that black community that is being part of, celebrated in quote, what really is the positive for the black community?
So, remember I started by saying no man is an island. What that means is your support structure mustn't only come from people that look like you. The Chinese lunar celebration happened quite recently at the city of Brampton. And one of the MCs was my very good friend that is from the Pakistani community. So imagine a Pakistani being an MC in a Chinese event. That is leveraging relationships. That shows a well-serviced relationship. For them to be comfortable enough to get a non-Chinese to MC that occasion is a big deal. Now imagine NNC celebrating Australia Month, and we have at least one event where we tell them, oh, we so appreciate you guys, we want to host something, you guys come in. You can imagine how they will show up. 2 years ago, we invited the Ahmadiyya Muslim community to our event, and they showed up in very large numbers. There were at least 15 of them that showed up. They took over a table. Last year also, we recognized a couple of folks that are from the white community, and they turned in good numbers, and they had the time of their lives, eating our local food, admiring the local fashion, taking pictures with everybody. They were all smiles, and the feedback after the event was awesome. When things like this happen, it truly shows that we are getting there. Because for the most part, it's always easy to identify people that look like you. I mean, imagine if you are in a remote location where you don't see people that look like you too much, and you see someone that looks like you. Tendency is that you would gravitate towards that person unconsciously. But now we are going beyond that. I mean, I attend events where I'm the only person of black color there. And you see me mixing with them. I try not to paint a picture of colors. I'm here. You are human beings like me. I just mix up. And so it is important to have that level of relationship. Now, imagine what will happen in future. Should we want something and the Australian community are positioned to help us, or to partner with us, or to collaborate, or to be there for us. You can imagine how they will do that effortlessly.
So in essence, what you're saying, that's a welcome development.
It is. So you mustn't do something only with your kind. The world is not made up of only your kind. You understand? For example, any one part, and you can pick any electronic or mechanical part, the individual parts usually come from different companies. In fact, in some cases, they come from different countries.
The individual parts most times come from different companies, different countries.
Exactly.
This is Community Circle.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is still the Community Circle, and I still have with me here our own beloved Mr. Uche Okogu. He's here with us. Uche, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yes, the first segment was powerful, man. Okay, so we want to go a little bit deeper into a few things we need to discuss before we bring this interview to a close. I'm looking at black participation, and for example, why are we still at the stage of first black achievements? So I would love you to talk about that. But before you go into that, as a member of the black community, what do you believe are some of the most significant challenges facing black Canadians today?
Thank you very much for that question. I think for some part, or even for the most part, it's boldness.
Boldness.
So imagine walking into a room of respectable people, all white, right? No black person. Nobody looks like you. Even the term nobody looks like you is itself a mindset. Because like I said, we're all human beings, right?
Yeah.
So you walk into a room of fellow human beings, but you still have that consciousness that there's nobody that looks like you, right? So that itself is a problem. Mindset and boldness. Some people may not stay in that room for long. They will become very uncomfortable, they would leave. Some people wouldn't even go there because maybe beforehand they will find out that, oh, that's going to be nobody that looks like me, so let me not even go there. So I think we need to move away from that stage and get to a point where as long as we're invited into that space, we own that space. A man of God once said that if we are not on the table where decisions are made, we will be in the yard where consequences are received. And as black people, we spend too much time in the yard. Now we are getting to the table. It is a whole different ball game to remain on that table. That means you also have to wear a consciousness of being relevant, being an asset. So getting to the table is no longer a problem. We are there. But we have to be asset. Our voices have to be heard. Our impact have to be felt. And so once we cultivate that habit of being impactful, being an asset, the narratives will change. So when you talk about black participation, a lot has been achieved, but a whole lot more has to be done. Because now we are there. How do we remain there? We're working on it. So what if we succeed in remaining there? How do we grow our numbers? How do we move to the next stage? And I tell you, it's going to happen in the near future. So first, in summary, we need to change our mindset. We need to stop using terms like, oh, nobody looks like me in this room. They are human beings. You're a human being. They all look like you. And then boldness. Man, speak up. Own that space. Just do your thing. If Martin Luther King didn't bail the cat, in quote, a lot of what we enjoy today would never have come to be. And he was assassinated for that. Because he bailed the cat. So for some of us, we have to bail the cat. For the others, somebody have bailed the cat. Okay, move on.
There is this complaint of bias, there is complaint of racism. I don't know if that has been part of your experience. If it has, how did you navigate? Now, another part of bias also, I feel, that it's maybe more hurtful. It's when the same people I mean, people of color, are actually creating racism within their circle and the bias within their circle. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, on the broader scope, has that been part of your experience from the broader scope and internally? Racism, bias, how did you navigate that, if it were?
So recently in an event, somebody described, what he thinks racism is. And he said racism is not a white thing or a black thing or a color thing. He said racism is just somebody expressing stupidity by expecting something to come out of nothing so they can feel good about themselves. You understand? For the most part, we see racism as what one race does against the other race. But it is beginning to be seen internally. There's this implosion, there's this feeling of self against self, right? I learned a long time ago from a man of God about not letting certain things get to you. So he would share this story. He would normally say, they would ask him, do you ever have problems? He would respond by saying, maybe I did, but I never knew. Not that he didn't know. What that simply means is he never let that to bother him. Okay, yeah, there are problems. So should I be downcast every day? Should I cry every day? Should I wear that on my face every day? No. Find a way around it and move on. So when I came to Canada, like I said, that shocking realization that, here there's a difference. People use terms like white and black and brown. You have to be conscious. You have to be mindful. Certain things are actually termed racism. I had to get used to that. But I never lost the notion of rising above it. So for the most part, in my early days, people would tell me things like, your English is very good. I never knew you could speak English like this and all that. How well do you know Nigerian history? They'll be like, not much. You need to go and read about it. Softly let them know that, you are ignorant, but it can be forgiven. You can go and read to learn. Just move on. Don't let it. So I don't need to get angry and get reactional because somebody said, I didn't know you could speak English. Some persons have actually asked me outrightly, things like, they didn't know Africa was, made up of beautiful buildings or developed areas and all that. Again, I just paint a picture of ignorance. Have you traveled outside to Africa, anywhere in Africa before? Yes. Do you know where Africa is? Like, there are certain questions you would ask. Right. People will actually know that, okay, I'm actually the stupid one here. And you've made your point.
Okay, I love that. We talked about, you mentioned on few occasions about implosion. And looking at the black participation, politics, the elections are here. They are coming. How united are the blacks? Do we really want to have a frontier? Do we have a plan? Do we have a roadmap? Are we even united? What do we really want? What does the black community really want? Or since it's an environment where we have, a lot of communities and cultures and all that races, in where we find ourselves. So does that not matter in any way?
So politics has always been a different ballgame. Give a social event to the average black person, you will see them united. They show up, dress well, eat, drink, take pictures, party, have fun. That will always unite everybody. But the moment politics is thrown in the mix, you see a lot of things changing. Now, there is a place to respect divergence. There's a place to respect someone's choice. You have partisan politics, you have non-partisan politics. It's kind of easier when it is non-partisan. But once it is partisan, of course, you have to first respect someone's choice. So for the black community, it may not be easy expecting the black community to rally behind a black candidate. Maybe that can happen for non-partisan politics. But even the whole concept of wards and ridings will again create a division. So for example, if I am in the riding of Brampton East, and a black candidate is contesting in Brampton West. My support for that candidate is limited if I choose to support that candidate. That changes the dynamics as well, okay? Whether it's partisan or not. Wards is also the same thing. But for the most part, once it comes to political support, people become overtly critical. Again, they start asking too many questions. I've had people get back to me with things like, oh, I won't just support this candidate, just because they're black. I have to know, what they're up to, what they have in mind, if it aligns with my ideal. Now, sometimes support comes from a place of sacrifice. We cannot throw away the fact that we need to consider sometimes that, okay, this is one of our own. Especially because now we are talking about representation. The need to have more black people taking on political offices, whether partisan or non-partisan.
How does that even help the black community? Sorry, don't lose your line of thought. Yep. But if we have more blacks in position, how does it really help?
So, very simply, certain things are more impactful when it is for us by us. So, let's pick the average non-black politician. If you're asking 10 questions surrounding what he thinks the black community needs, he may not know that much. But pick the average black politician and ask him, what do you think the black community needs? There might be some things mentioned. Because if you look at everywhere, whether it be the public sector, private sector, schools, employment, sports, everything, there is need for something to happen differently for the black community, right? Once you have black representation, it gives room for the black community to be able to have their voices heard louder, so to speak. Because there is the assumption.
So it's important.
It is important. And aside from the expectations, if we even come from the simple part of DEI, diversity. So imagine having a circle of 10 politicians, 10 representing politicians, and there's no black person.
So because of DEI, now, what I'm thinking is this, because you said something and you gave an instance. If you are in Brampton East and a black candidate is coming up in Brampton West, for example, you might not have much to do. But I'm looking at, if there's a coalition rather, and we have that forum, which I believe is there, but possibly we are not targeting anything. We are leaving everything to chance. There are people who are in Brampton West who are blacks that don't even know, or that might not know, that they have a candidate that is actually coming up. You that is in Brampton East, with the push, brings awareness that we have a candidate. All some people needed is an awareness. But they never got, because there's no front and there's no unity. We are not speaking about it. We are not pushing for anyone. So it becomes quiet. The fellow becomes a solo, contestant who is there and there. Everything falls to him for chance. So if we really are of the opinion that DEI needs to be respected, and in other words, we need to have that representation. So it means that we must be deliberate about it. Deliberate in making sure that what we as a people, we at least need a certain number of percentage in this, in that, in this place, and in that location, as the case may be. And then we are deliberate about it, and we are able to come up with a voice and say, these persons can, we have people who have interest. And then we're able to see how we can submerge and bring everything together and say, okay, as a people, within us first, holistically we look at this and say, this could go for us, this could be our voice. And then, whether you are in, using practice as an instance for now, whether you are in the South, you are in this and all that, we know that what it triggers and it goes. All of us, there is that connection. And we know, because we need to have, if we check and we look at all the ridings, we're realizing that what we have only 2 blacks that are coming out, and other so, and we need to support that, at least let 2 persons, be in this government.
So,
right?
So, I must quickly caution how we either interpret or use DEI, especially to avoid us coming from a place of a false sense of entitlement. Now, if you notice, in some institutions, DEI has either been scrapped or is being critically analyzed as not working as expected. Because sometimes we come from a place of entitlement, just because. Politics happens to be different. You have to be elected. That means people have to vote.
That's right.
And how voting turns out is completely up to the system. So there's no structure that says, okay, if there are 10 people, 2 or 3 must be black. And then the system allows that to happen. It's voting.
Yes.
You can end up having only one race in all 10 people. It's voting. That's just the way it is, right? So it means that there's also a place for hard work. Definitely. So if we want to see us represented, we have to be able to hit the ground running. We have to be able to get the job done, to do the work. I know that there are multiple groups, talking about different candidates, supporting different candidates, trying to project the need for people to be aware of these candidates, to be informed about political structure, and also to get involved. There is this general notion that black people don't vote. Black people are not politically aware.
Yeah.
That is beginning to be turned around. And so what we must do is to leverage that now sense of new era information and jump at it. If you have groups, continue to inform blacks about it. The candidates, the processes, some persons don't understand what a word a riding means. Some persons still don't understand why they have to worry about voting. That awareness is still needed in our community, but regularly. So people can know the candidates, make up their minds, go to the polls, and get involved. And there are so many ways to support politicians. So if you want to see that representation in either a council or at the provincial or federal level, one thing we should do is to decide how are we going to support. So for every political office, people are needed to plan and execute. Foot soldiers.
I want you to speak on this as if this is your opinion. This is what you want us to do. Let's not throw it just as a solution that could be. So if you believe in this, I would appreciate if you could speak to us. This is what we should do going forward.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
I think that makes sense a lot for me.
So let's have a template now. Okay. Let's say, in my opinion, I want to set a template. So once you go past the stage of identifying yourself or someone as a candidate, you need to rally around to get a support structure. People that you will work with as your campaign team. In that team, you have to have people that will manage fundraising, manage social media, manage those that will do door knocking, manage the flyer people, manage how you communicate with the media, generally manage information as it's made available to the public. Okay? And then, of course, your campaign manager that will manage everybody. It is important to have a team dedicated to door knocking. And boy, you have to have a list of the postal codes, number of doors to knock. This information are available. Work on getting foot soldiers, I call them. You also have to have people that will be doing, maybe if it's allowed in the municipality, lawn sign placements. You have to have a team for that. You have to have a team for fundraising because all these processes cost money, whether it is partisan or non-partisan. You have to have a team that will help you with social media, targeted social media, because the people in your ward or your riding need to know about you. So there should be a social media message going out regularly, targeted at them. You're doing door knocking, they're seeing you on their phones.
So, I agree completely with what you are saying now. So what I want to affirm is that you are of the opinion that as a community, we need to be deliberate on what we need to do.
Yes.
And then work together to achieve this. So you have the opinion that as a community, we need to have our representatives. We need to have our voice. And we need to do it collectively to get this done.
Yep.
I hope I'm not mistaken.
No, you're not. You're not.
On that premise, I would want to ask, in the next 2 decades, do you see a black prime minister emerging in Canada?
I would like to answer this using data, okay? And data will have to come from the past. So we have had a distant past and a recent past. If you judge from the distant past, when things either didn't happen or things happen slowly, and you bring that data into the present to judge the future, you might not see that happening in 2 decades. But fortunately, we have had a recent past, and I'm talking about maybe the last 10, 15 years, where a lot has happened exponentially for the black community. And I'm talking about academics, the public and private sector, professions, businesses, sports, recognition, appointments. Things have really changed. When you look at now the number of black people in politics, black people rising in their careers, black people in sports, black people in school boards, people growing, it's been very, very impressive. And so using that to judge what the next 2 decades might be, it is possible to produce a prime minister in the next 20 years in Canada.
Oh, interesting. I wish we have all the time. But I will allow you to take your closing thoughts, and before we bring this to a close, Lord. Before that, I want to ask, what message or call to action would you like to share with Canadians during the Black History Month?
So I haven't coined this in my head, but there's a beautiful message from John Wesley that dwells on helping people, that dwells on doing what you can, when you can, how you can, to whom you can, at any time you can, in any way you can, at all the time that you can. Okay? I've just paraphrased, but the message pretty much just talked about just take action. Okay? Don't be bogged down by, oh, a lot is required, I can't do that much, so I shouldn't do anything. No. Make sure that you are doing something. You know, there's a popular statement, I think it's also by Martin Luther King. If you can't, crawl, you walk. If you can't fly, you run. If you can't run, you walk. If you can't walk, you crawl. By all means, do something, keep moving. So my message to people is, above everything that is happening, let us be mindful that we all have something inside of us that is enough to give back, to do something for someone. It always starts with doing something for someone.
Doing something for someone.
One person. If we wear this mentality of, oh, if I'm not affecting people, then I shouldn't do anything. No. It will always begin with one person. Just do something, one person. And then my mantra, of course, as I close, I strongly believe that things turn out best for those who make the best out of the way things turn out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Uche. It's nice having you here today.
It's nice being here today as well. Thank you.
Well done, well done. So we wish you great success ahead of your other endeavors and the great things you're doing. Are you running for an office?
No, I'm not.
You're not? Shouldn't we expect you run for an office very soon?
If I am, I'm sure you would know.
You must be a politician to answer that way, right? Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show for today. Thank you for being part of it.
Thank you.
Cheers.
So much.
This is Community Circle.